My name is Julian Hart. I'm 32 years old, and I live in a cozy bungalow on the outskirts of Portland, Oregon. I'm a freelance photographer, capturing weddings, wildlife, and magazine portraits, whatever keeps the lights on. It's not a glamorous life, but it's mine, built from the ground up, one assignment at a time. To my in-laws, particularly my wife's mother, I'm no better than a hobbyist with a camera. To them, success wears tailored suits and drives company cars. My father-in-law, Walter, is in finance, investment strategy, or something equally vague and profitable. At family dinners, he'd toss out a barbed comment like, "How's that little photo project going?" His smirk spoke louder than his words. My wife, Haley, always sensed my frustration. She'd slip her hand into mine under the table, a silent apology for her parents' jabs. I never forced her to pick a side. I swallowed my pride and kept the peace. It all began when we arrived at their pristine colonial home on Portland's wealthier west side for her mother's birthday dinner. Haley had insisted it would mean a lot to her parents, and I didn't have the heart to refuse. Walter droned on about stocks, Haley's brother made small talk, and I just wanted the night to end. Then Diane emerged from the kitchen with a tray of glasses. "Special sangria," she chirped, holding one up for me. "Made this one especially for my favorite son-in-law." Her smile twisted my gut. I followed her into the kitchen, pretending to help. That's when I saw it. 2 separate glasses, one already poured. She slipped a small vial from her purse and emptied it into one. Clear, odorless. She tucked it away like it was nothing, then turned to me with a grin. "This one's for you, sweetheart." I didn't flinch. "Let me help carry these out," I said. In the dining room, I placed the tainted glass in front of Walter. He barely glanced up as he took a sip. I sat beside Haley and sipped water instead. 45 minutes later, Walter turned pale, sweat beading on his forehead. He shoved back from the table and stumbled to the bathroom, violent retching echoing through the house. Haley rushed after him. Diane sat frozen, staring at the glass still in my hand, the one meant for me. Her expression wasn't guilt or even fear, just the dawning realization that I knew. I slipped the other glass into my jacket pocket without a word. I didn't yell or accuse her, but in that moment, I decided I wouldn't let this go. I wouldn't play the game. I would end it my way, quietly, completely, and they wouldn't see it coming. The next morning, I drove across town with the glass wrapped in a kitchen towel, tucked inside a small box. I took it to Jason Mayer, a former client and forensic toxicologist who ran a private lab just outside Portland. We'd worked together on a photography project for a science magazine years ago, and I knew he wouldn't pry too much. When I handed him the box, he raised an eyebrow. "Personal or professional?" he asked. "Family matter," I replied. 3 days later, he called. "Julian, there were benzodiazepines in the liquid. Not enough to kill, but definitely enough to knock someone out for a few hours. Could cause memory issues, confusion, nausea. You need to tell me where this came from." I thanked him and asked for a printed report. "I can't explain yet," I said, "but I will." A cold weight settled in my chest. This wasn't paranoia. Diane had tried to drug me. But why? I started digging, quietly and carefully. It began with her medicine cabinet. Haley had once asked me to help pack Diane's overnight bag for a trip, and I remembered where she kept her prescriptions. I found multiple bottles of Xanax, all from different pharmacies with different doctor names, some dated just days apart. A quick search revealed inconsistencies. One doctor was a dentist, another hadn't practiced in years. I dug deeper, speaking to a neighbor who recalled Diane acting strangely at a holiday party, paranoid, disoriented. There were whispers at their country club about missing jewelry and pills vanishing from purses. Nothing confirmed, just the kind of gossip dismissed because of wealth and status. I documented everything: screenshots, prescription copies, Jason's report, neighbors' notes. I built a folder on my laptop, labeled with a code only I would recognize. All the while, I smiled at family dinners, kissed Haley's cheek, and said I was just tired from editing and long weeks on assignment. She believed me, unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface. She didn't know I was sleeping beside someone whose mother had tried to erase me from her life, not with violence, but with cold calculation. I stayed silent because I needed time. If I moved too fast, Diane would spin the narrative, play the victim, and call it a misunderstanding. I had proof now, but I wanted more. A pattern, a motive, a history.
Hello. Thanks for watching and being part of this journey. If you enjoy story like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Your support means the world. Now let's dive into the story.
I wanted to expose not just what she'd done to me, but what she'd done to others. People like Diane don't strike once. They chip away slowly, quietly. When I had enough, I wouldn't scream or fight. I would reveal everything with the precision and finality only truth and timing can deliver. A week later, Haley came home with a strange look. "You're not going to believe this," she said, dropping her keys into the bowl by the door. "My mom wants you to take photos of her for social media." I blinked. "You're kidding." She says she wants to refresh her profile. New look, new era, or something. I forced a smile. Sure. Why not? It was the perfect opening. That Saturday, I arrived at their house alone, camera bag slung over one shoulder, a sealed envelope tucked inside. Haley had gone to visit a friend out of town. Perfect timing. Diane greeted me in a silk blouse, hair done, makeup flawless. "Oh, good," she said sweetly. "I want something elegant, classy, but modern. You know the look." "Of course," I replied, setting down my equipment. "But before we start, there's something you need to see." I handed her the envelope. She raised an eyebrow but opened it. Inside was Jason's toxicology report, copies of her Xanax prescriptions, screenshots of forum posts about her erratic behavior, and a neighbor's statement about her odd actions at a party last winter. She read silently, her hands trembling slightly. "This is absurd," she muttered. "I would never." "We both know what you did," I said quietly. "You tried to make me sick enough to miss the gallery show, to look unreliable, a disappointment." Her eyes snapped up, narrowed. "You think Haley will take your word over mine? I don't need her to. I have evidence." She crossed her arms, chin lifted. "She won't believe it. I know how to talk to her. She trusts me, not you." I stared at her, steady and calm. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to tell Walter what you did. Then you're going to stop. No more sabotage, no more whispers, no more games. If you don't, I will tell Haley everything, and I won't hold back." She laughed, a dry, hollow sound. "You're bluffing." I picked up my camera bag. "You've spent your life manipulating people into silence. I'm not one of them. You're a guest in this family," she hissed. "Not anymore," I replied. "I'm part of it, whether you like it or not." She didn't follow me to the door or call me back. She just stood there, papers in hand, fury in her eyes. I knew then the real war had begun. This wasn't just about a drugged drink or a ruined show, it was about power and control, and I'd just taken the first piece off her board. 3 days later, a plain envelope arrived at our doorstep. No return address, just my name in neat, unfamiliar handwriting. Inside was a USB drive and a sticky note. "You should see this." I knew instantly. Vanessa, Haley's brother's wife. I closed the studio door, plugged the drive into my laptop, and opened the first file. My heart pounded before the footage even started. It was grainy security camera footage from Diane and Walter's kitchen, time-stamped from the night of her birthday dinner. There was Diane, back to the camera, 2 wine glasses on the counter. She reached into her handbag, pulled out the vial, and added a few drops to the left glass. A quick swirl, a glance over her shoulder, then she tucked it away. Moments later, I entered the frame, taking both glasses, calm as anything, masking the dread I'd felt. Seeing it this way, the coldness in her movements, still knocked the wind out of me. The second clip showed Diane and Walter alone in the kitchen after everyone had left. He was shouting, "He drank it, Diane. He drank your damn setup." She snapped back, unbothered, "Because you were too busy on your phone to pay attention." Walter looked furious. "This isn't the first time you've done something like this. You promised it was just to shake him, not poison." Her voice turned icy. It wouldn't have hurt him, just enough to make him miss the gallery, to remind Haley what it feels like when he lets her down. Silence, then she added, colder than I'd ever heard. She'll file for divorce eventually. I'm already planting the seeds. Doubt is easy when you know which words to say. My hands trembled as I paused the video. The next clip was even more chilling. Diane on the phone, the other person's voice inaudible. He's stubborn, like Thomas was, but give me time. Haley always listens when I guide her. That name, Thomas. I called Vanessa immediately. She answered on the first ring. You saw it, didn't you? Why didn't you tell us before? I asked. I was scared, she said quietly. They did the same thing to me, said I wasn't good enough for Owen. Tried for 2 years to convince him I was using him. When I got pregnant, everything changed because now they had a grandchild to manipulate. My throat tightened. This isn't just disapproval. This is psychological warfare. She exhaled. It always has been. They've been controlling Haley's life for years by getting rid of anyone who made her strong. Thomas, me, and now you. I looked at the paused footage. It was all there now. The pattern, the motive, their playbook, used again and again. This wasn't about me. It never had been. It was about control, and I finally understood how far they'd gone to keep it. Over the next 2 days, I compiled everything. Every screenshot, video, prescription detail, and toxicology report. I labeled the files, organized them, and saved them onto a single drive. It felt like preparing a case, not for a courtroom, but for a trial that mattered more, one where the jury was the woman I loved, and the stakes were our future. That Saturday night, I invited Owen and Vanessa over for dinner. I hadn't told Haley yet, just said I wanted a quiet evening, something simple. She offered to cook, but I told her not to worry, I had it handled. After dinner, I stood and walked to the TV. There's something I need you all to see. Haley frowned. What is it? Owen looked confused. Vanessa just looked down, already knowing. I plugged in the USB and hit play. For the next hour, we watched the footage of Diane spiking the drink, Walter and Diane arguing afterward, the phone call mentioning Thomas, the email exchanges with doctors, the pattern of prescriptions. Every piece of proof I'd gathered, laid bare. Haley sat still, face pale, hands trembling in her lap. Owen shook his head repeatedly. No, this can't be real. That's not my parents. Vanessa leaned forward. Owen, they did the same thing to us. Do you remember when your dad suddenly warmed up to me? It wasn't because he accepted me. It was because I got pregnant. They had a way to pull the strings again. You never said that, Owen whispered. I tried, she said. You just wouldn't listen. Haley looked at me, voice cracking. Why didn't you show me this earlier? I held her gaze. Because I needed you to see everything, not just the part that involved me. I needed you to understand that this isn't about one poisoned drink. This is about a lifetime of manipulation. She covered her mouth, eyes filling with tears. They've done this before, I said gently. They broke Thomas with rumors. They've pushed your friends away, one by one. Every person who encouraged your independence, they found a way to remove. The room fell quiet. Haley finally spoke, voice low and shaky. I believe you. Relief flooded through me, but it was short-lived. I need time, she said, to process all of this. To think. I understand, I replied. This wouldn't be resolved in one night, not after years of emotional grooming and control. But I'd done what I needed to do. The truth was out, and Haley had seen it with her own eyes. Still, I knew this wasn't the end. It was the beginning of the final act. Diane and Walter wouldn't go quietly, but I was ready to face them. We pulled into Diane and Walter's driveway just before sunset. The house looked as it always did. Perfect lawn, crisp white siding, not a thing out of place. But inside, everything was about to change. Haley was tense beside me, jaw tight, hands clasped in her lap. Owen and Vanessa arrived shortly after. No one spoke much. We all knew what this evening was. Walter opened the door, calm and collected, like he was welcoming guests to a charity event. Diane stood behind him, wearing pearls and her practiced smile. Come in, she said. Let's talk like family. We stepped into the living room. I pulled out my tripod and set up the camera without a word. What's that for? Walter asked. Family record, I said. We done with private manipulation. Diane's smile flickered. This is unnecessary, Julian. Maybe, I replied, hitting record, but it's happening. We sat, Haley to my right, Owen and Vanessa across from us. Diane and Walter perched on the sofa's edge, like they were bracing for a speech they thought they could control. Let's start with a drink, I said. You know, the one. Diane scoffed. I don't know what Julian's told you, but... I held up the remote and pressed play. The kitchen footage began, clear and undeniable. Diane's face paled, but she stayed silent. Next came the clip of her and Walter arguing, where he admitted it wasn't the first time. Then the phone recording, the prescriptions, the clip of her talking about making Haley believe divorce was her idea. We've seen everything, Haley said softly. Walter stood. This is out of context. No, Owen snapped. This is our lives. You've been doing this for years. Thomas, Julian, Vanessa, maybe even my friends. I thought you were protective, but this is control, and we're done. Diane turned to Haley, pleading. Sweetheart, please. You know how dramatic he can be. Haley shook her head. I love you, but I'm done being managed like a puppet. You tried to poison my husband. You tried to ruin my marriage. I don't even know who you are anymore. I pulled a small drive from my pocket and handed it to Walter. Everything's on there. All the files, every conversation, video, report. It's yours to keep. Walter hesitated. What's this supposed to mean? It means I'm not going to destroy your lives by going public, I said, because Haley loves you. But if you ever try to manipulate us again, if you ever speak against me or interfere with our family, copies of this will go to your board, your business partners, your entire social circle. He stared at the drive like it burned his hand. For the first time since I'd met him, Walter looked at me with something real, fear, maybe, or respect. You think you've won, he said quietly. No, I replied. I just stopped letting you win. That night, for the first time, they understood they'd lost control. Months passed, and the storm slowly settled, though the wreckage would take longer to repair. Haley and Owen started therapy, separately and together, untangling years of subtle damage, the kind you don't notice until someone holds a mirror up to it. Diane and Walter stayed quiet. No calls, no surprise visits, no attempts to rewrite the past, at least not directly. Then one morning, a certified letter arrived at our doorstep from Walter's attorney. Inside was the deed to our house, the one we'd been renting for years, signed over to us, free and clear. No note, no conditions, just a clean title, along with a legal trust established in our future child's name. Haley stood at the kitchen counter, reading the documents. There's no catch, she whispered. There's guilt, I said, but no strings. She turned to me, tears in her eyes, and took my hand. I'm pregnant. I blinked, the world slowing. Then I stepped forward and held her tightly, feeling the weight of everything that had led to this moment. That child, I said into her hair, will never be a pawn in anyone's games. I promise. Spring arrived, and with it, a dream I'd quietly held for years, a gallery of my own in downtown Portland. A warm brick space with wide windows and polished wood floors, its walls lined with my work, wild horses sprinting through Montana snow, wedding kisses caught in golden hour light, city streets frozen in black and white stillness. On opening night, Haley stood beside me in a flowing green dress, her hand resting on the gentle curve of her stomach. Friends came, clients, my parents flew in from Colorado. Even Owen and Vanessa brought a bottle of wine and a rare moment of peace. Just before closing, Walter and Diane appeared. They didn't stay long. Diane held herself together with practiced grace, complimented the space, asked after Haley's health, and held her tongue. Walter shook my hand firmly, then handed me a glossy brochure for his company's new annual report. My photographs were featured throughout, landscapes, headshots, office interiors. Thought you'd want a copy, he said. I nodded. Thank you. There was no apology in his eyes, but there was something else, acknowledgement. He finally saw me, not as the man who stole his daughter's heart, but as someone who'd built something of his own, without his help and despite his resistance. That night, after everyone left, standing in the quiet gallery, Haley asked, "Do you think they've changed?" I thought for a long moment. No, I said, but they've accepted that they can't change us. Later, sitting on our porch with Haley's head on my shoulder, stars spread above the mountains, I realized a truth I'd never put into words before. I didn't win by playing the game. I won by refusing to play.